1 year after the nation voted in record numbers in the presidential election, it's been a relatively quiet season for election politics. Much of the attention's been focused on the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia and a congressional race in upstate New York. Some are calling this year's vote a referendum on President Obama's first year in office. And joining us now from Washington to discuss the elections is CBS News political director Steve Chaggaris. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
So, Steve, tell us, how important are these elections to the Obama administration and then, in turn, for the Republican Party?
Well, I mean, it's all perception. I think there's definitely an importance at a certain level for the Obama administration. They want to have as many Democrats elected nationwide as possible. The Republicans, on the other hand, took a drubbing last year, and they've lost seats in Congress and governor's races around the country in the last few years. And I think to pick up some seats, especially in a state like New Jersey, which is a Democratic state, or a state like Virginia, where they haven't had the governor's seat in the last 8 years, those would be big pickups for them and give them a little bit of boost going into the midterms.
We just saw in the last couple days President Obama stumping for these candidates in Virginia and New Jersey. How important is his support?
Well, I think the candidates will tell you it's extremely important. I mean, you look in Virginia and the Democrat down there named Creed Deeds, he's been down in the polls about double digits for the last several weeks. I think Obama did very well in Virginia, was the first Democratic presidential candidate to win Virginia since 1964. I think Deeds is hoping that Obama can sort of have some of that magic rub off on him. In terms of the polls, it hasn't really worked out so far. We'll see what happens tonight. And in New Jersey, the same thing. I mean, Governor Corzine really down in the dumps in the polls is sort of tied with a Republican there, which is, and it's a very Democratic state. But Barack Obama has high approval ratings in New Jersey, and I think Governor Corzine's hoping that the president can come in and help boost his numbers.
Some very interesting things coming out of New York's 23rd congressional district. The Republican dropping out of the race, then backing the Democrat. Explain to us what's going on there and the impact that that could have on the election.
Well, this is a seat that was held by the current Army Secretary, John McHugh, who's a moderate Republican. And there was no primary to fill this seat, to get ready for the special election. So the Republican Party in New York State nominated a woman who is considered fairly moderate, hoping that she would be able to keep the seat held by moderate John McHugh. Now, the district was won by Barack Obama, but it's been a Republican district for about a century. So the Republicans figured, okay, this woman, Skozafava, will be great. She'll be a moderate, and she'll give us a good chance to pick up the seat. Well, because there wasn't a primary, I think the right and conservatives were not on board with this nominee, or this woman who was picked, and so they put their own person up, a guy named Doug Hoffman, a conservative. And as the weeks went on, you saw conservatives around the country get really fired up. I mean, the town hall meeting type of crew, the Tea Party crew, and Sarah Palin, Tim Pawlenty, other conservatives around the country getting behind this conservative candidate, basically saying we don't want any kind of moderates in this district. We don't want moderates representing the party. So they got behind the conservative. The Republican dropped out, and now we have a conservative versus a Democrat in that race. It's going to be interesting to see how it turns out.
There's been some criticism of Sarah Palin and some others for getting involved in this, because this is New York, this isn't Alaska or wherever some of these other conservatives are from. Do you think that that criticism is fair?
Well, there's a fight going on within the Republican Party right now as a result of the past few years and them losing seats. What's the direction of the Republican Party? Are they going to move toward bringing some more moderates in, hoping that in moderate districts such as New York 23 that they'll be able to hold on to seats or pick up seats around the country? Or are they going to stay true to their ideals and move right and become more conservative? So you've got somebody like Sarah Palin and others weighing in and saying we need to stay true to our ideals and stay the conservative party, and not allow people like this woman, Skozafava, the Republican they put up, who, by the way, what was somebody who was pro-abortion rights and pro-same-sex marriage, which are two things that conservatives don't really agree with. So she and other conservatives got into this race to basically put their foot down and moving ahead, hoping that the Republican Party will stay true to the right wing of the party. Now, we'll see what happens after this race, but that's why they got into this race. And people can criticize it all they want, but the Republicans right now don't have one leader. They're trying to figure out what they stand for, and this is one part of the party that's being very vocal and getting involved.
It'll be very interesting to see the results of this election. All right, CBS News political director Steve Chaggaris. Steve, as always, thanks.
Thanks, Michelle.